Hi everyone, in today's video let's do a free lens review. So I've got the 24-120, the 24-200 and the 70-200. Three very different lenses but obviously cover the same focal length. So yeah, let's have a look and see which ones we think are better. I honestly don't know if we're gonna notice much difference, but I'll take some photos. We'll go back to my office and we can edit them and see what you think. So I have got on at the moment the 24-200, shooting at 50mm as the comparison test. Just got the nice leading line down here, just heading through towards the castle. Makes for a real nice scene. Yeah, shooting all these at f9, same exposure for all of it. Might have to, that's got a nice added feature of some birds in there. Should be nice. So yeah, going well for the comparison video. So I've had to come back a little bit now to get the long lens on. Let me just increase the exposure of this to show you. So this is at 70mm. Obviously just a bit more exposed so you can see how it is. And then I've been zooming right into the castle. So you can kind of get that perfect detail shots on the 200. Might try for some bird shots a bit closer in a minute, but as you can see, it's nice to bring this lens out. Don't use it too much. It's a bit of a monster. I'm back in the office. So before we look at the photos that I've taken and do the comparison between the different lenses, I just want to spend a bit of time talking about the lenses themselves. So covering from the 24-200 total in the focal length, you can either have the one lens or you can have the two lenses. Now, in a way, it's not a fair comparison because these are both S-line lenses. So they are going to be heavier, they have got better quality glass in them. But I guess the question is this, from a cost and weight perspective, any better or any worse than having both of these? So that's what we'll find out, and we'll go to a conclusion at the end. I absolutely love the 24-120. This is now becoming my favourite lens. I've shot everything to date on the 24-200, and literally everything. Some of my best photos I've ever taken are on this lens. I think it's a fantastic lens. However, the 24-120 is now becoming my all-time favourite. It's not left my camera really since, apart from doing this video, and I think I've had this about a month. Absolutely love it. But this is a good experiment for me as well to know, is it my photography that's improved or is it actually the lens that's factored into that? And then the 70-200, it's a beast. I haven't taken it out much because it's just heavy. Now I've got a bigger bag, I can fit this in this, so I will take it out more. And I'm going to do a specific video talking about just this lens on its own. If I'm being honest, I think I've messed up a little bit. I don't know if this is actually the right lens for me. I've got some really good video footage, some good photos on it, but I think maybe the 100-400 might have been a better lens. So this is a very interesting experiment for me as well to figure out, was this the right purchase or should I actually sell it and go to the 100 and 400 or rent one and try? I might do that as a future video. So enough talking about these. So let's look at these photos. So I've tried to take these with the same aperture, so they're all taken at f9. It was sunrise, and as you can see from the photos, not the most colourful sunrise possible. So it gives a bit more of a fairer comparison in terms of the photos. So with that in mind as well, there will be some slight variations as we go through the different focal lengths as I'm adapting for lighting and bits and pieces. So if you can see on the left here, we've got the 24-120 lens, taken 1 second at f9, ISO 100, and then on the right hand side, we've got the 24-200. So where you can notice, and I've been focusing in now on this point here, so sort of halfway up on the rocks, sort of as you're heading towards the kind of main structure of the castle. So if I zoom into 100%, you can see on here on the f4, fairly sharp. I mean, that's as sharp as anything. And if we do the same on here, you can see, to be honest with you, I don't really notice much difference between the two. And if you actually look at these leaves here, you could say that there's very little between them in terms of in the middle and where we're focusing. If I come down to the bottom here on the 24 to 200, it's pretty good here as well in the sort of corners. Obviously you can lose it a little bit and it's not completely in focus, but overall, if you look at the two there, I wouldn't say there's a massive amount of difference in terms of sharpness at 100%. Yeah, I think I would definitely struggle to tell the two apart, just given on that. Now, if I was to go and zoom in on the castle itself on both of these, yeah, again, you can kind of see on here, not really much difference in terms of the colours, everything else in terms of grain. So I think at 24mm, they both look pretty similar. So if I now go to the 35, I've got the focal length a little bit different, just as I couldn't quite get them to line up. But so we've got the 37mm on the 24 to 120, still on the left, and on the right you've got the 24 to 200. Again, very similar edits. Timing was a little bit different with the lighting. You can see on here it's probably a little bit lighter. It won't affect the image quality too much, just the actual overall edit style, I suppose. Same thing again, if I zoom down here on the bottom, don't really notice much in terms of differences. I think maybe there was a bit of camera shake on here because it was a bit windy today, which is probably why that's maybe a little bit out on there, where the wind was blowing the flowers. But I mean, yeah, again, I think you'd struggle to say the same between it, especially in the middle of the lens. If we zoom into the castle itself on both of those, again, not too much there. I'd actually say this isn't on the 24 to 120, probably not the best in terms of castle in terms of sharpness there. But I also think that's probably down to user error than anything else. Probably just focal distance, because if you look down here, it was all sort of a little bit out of focus as well. But yeah, I'll be honest, I still don't think there'll be much between them, even if that was properly in focus. You still get quite a lot of detail at the sort of 35mm range. Moving on to 50. So we've got the 50 there. So same again, 24 to 120 on the left, 24 to 200 on the right. Slightly different settings in terms of time for the lighting. But as I said, won't really make too much difference. So again, let's kind of go down here. You can see on here, sharpness wise, I think this is where you start to see the 24 to 120 stand out a little bit more. So can you see the details really sort of on the rocks here, very kind of blurred here the closer you are to the camera, and the edge, whereas on this side, a lot sharper and a lot crisper. So I think at 50mm you start to really notice the difference in this lens, and that kind of theme follows all the way up until you get to, even in here, you see a bit more in there. There's a little bit more in focus here. I think that's probably where my focus point was maybe a little bit different on the two as I was swapping over the lenses. But all in all, not massive. And the same on the same story actually. I think on this one I was probably aiming at focusing a little bit lower actually. That's probably why that's not in focus as much. But yeah, I think 50mm is where the 24 to 200 and especially the S-line lens really starts to show a little bit of difference between them. So I ended up going down for sunset to capture those missing images for the comparisons. So if you look on the left, I now have a 70mm for the 24 to 120, and I've got a 70 for the 24 to 200. Yeah, beautiful sunset. I mean, it was it's almost like it was meant to be going down there. I haven't bothered removing the people out of the way. Main reason for this is just because I think it actually adds a nice touch, and you can see with the settings as well how they look. So let's get into this. So if we first look on the left, so the 24-120, I took this at f11 this time, just a little bit different. When I was reviewing the footage earlier, I thought it might look a little bit better. And you can see zooming in at 100%, I mean, that's crystal clear. I can't really find anything really wrong with that in the middle. Focus point was around here, so bang in the middle for everything that I took. If you look on the edges down here, yeah, they're a little bit softer, but that's also by design because the focus wasn't there. And like I said, don't worry too much about the people because they were kids and parents and dogs running around for all these. So of course they're going to be blurry when I'm shooting at a very slow shutter speed. If you look at the 24-200 and we zoom in at 100%, like I say, you can't really see much difference. Like, I'm just looking now, and there's not much, really not much in it, if I'm being honest. Look at the top of the little bits growing out there. No, nothing really in terms of that long distance. I don't have a leading line in this one like I had in the 50mm, which is where you obviously notice more of a difference. I think the reason I didn't choose a leading line is because I knew I was going to be zooming in quite a lot. So I think the foreground becomes less interesting, let's put it that way. So next up we have the 120. Which is this one here. Put the one there, and then let's put this one here. Cool, so this is the 120mm on the 124-120 and the 24-200. So basically maxing out the ability of this lens, so fully zoomed in. You can tell which one I took before the other one, right? Just because of the way the sun went. But a bit disappointing in a way. But it is what it is. So you can see on here, and I'll focus on this wall, I don't think there's much difference. You could maybe argue in this scenario that the 24-200 is a little bit sharper. Just if you look in here, just sort of around here, you sort of really see that versus around here. In fact, I would probably say that is a little bit sharper. But the light obviously does help as well massively for that. But yeah, I think in general you could probably say that this is probably a point to the 24-120 at 120mm. Yeah, and then if just for fun, let's throw in the 70-200 versus that. Obviously the lighting has changed once again, and slightly different angle just because the way I have the tripod mount for the longer lens and support. But if you zoom in and look on a similar area, excuse my cough, you can see the 70-200 is a lot sharper. But unless you're zooming in and planning to print at this level, I don't think you're going to notice much of a difference, especially in this light and in this setting. I mean, I'll just pause that there, but can you tell the difference in those? Barely, if I'm being honest, which has confused me a little bit because that does make me think that the 24-200 is still a great lens if you think about these different scenarios. It's probably better for those 50mm to 120mm range. I think this lens is really good, really crisp. And obviously you're paying for that in the weight and everything else. Let's cut back to the 200mm comparison, and you can see from there what you 70-200mm on the left, and still got the 24-200 on the right. I mean, you can see a massive difference in here, like night and day difference, I think, in terms of the image. I will say that on the right here, a 24-200 is still a great photo. I mean, if you look at that and you look into the details on here and you think, oh, do you know what? That's pretty impressive for that lens at 120mm. The details in the rocks, you see the pigeon up there, the shadows are retained sort of well in there, and the details. I mean, I think that's a great image. I can't fault this lens at all, I think, for that. Now, if you look on the left to the 70-200, which is a far more expensive lens, obviously, look, I mean, that's absolutely incredible. The image quality on that is, yeah, insane. I think it's clear that if we're to do a winner at the two, it's definitely the 70-200 in this field. Yeah, but saying that, I'm still massively blown away by the amount of detail that's been managed to capture on the 24-200 for the weight and size of the lens and the price of it. Yeah, that's really good. That's actually surprised me a little bit. So moving on to the 70-200 comparison. So this is at the maximum focal length for both of these lenses. Once again, I've got the 70-200 on the left and still got the 24-200 on the right. I think this is where you do start to see the difference. It really is kind of zoomed in a little bit. So if I zoom in on here, you can see the 24-200. The details are gone. It's not as sharp. It's not as crisp. Yeah, it's just not as nice as what we saw at 120 in terms of focal length. So I think that's kind of where it suffers a little bit. Whereas if I look on here, actually zoomed in at 100%, you could arguably say the same for this one. There is a lot of detail there to catch up. Maybe if I shot at like f11 or f13, that probably might have a lot more kind of details in that, but overall, you can sort of see the difference there. This is a lot clearer, still not perfect, but a lot clearer. And this is you couldn't print this. The quality of that's just too much. So yeah, there you go. I hope you enjoyed the little comparisons between the two of these. So I hope that helped in terms of your choice on lenses. I think just in terms of a summary for myself, I think that from 120mm sort of onwards, I think the 24-200 starts to struggle a little bit and kind of show that. So I think it's really good if you're hiking, you want to keep weight down and you want to zoom into the distance to get something that's kind of far away that probably don't want the best sharpness or clarity to. So like fog in the distance of a woodland or something like that. I think that could be really good for that. I'm not planning on saying this because I think that would be awesome. The 24-200, if I'm being honest, it's super sharp. It's an incredible lens. I think great for portraits and other stuff. I think it's a great investment. Still don't think it's for me. I think if I could go back again, I'll probably get 100-400. So that's one that I'd say maybe not a must. Depends on your needs for landscape photography and birds and stuff. 100-400 definitely. Portraits and other stuff, fantastic. I just wish it was a bit longer. That's my only worry. I wish I could go more than the 200. I will try a teleconverter with this and let you know. That's when I can save up some money and get to that point. I'll try a teleconverter and do a similar review and let you know what that's like, because that might be the best compromise instead of selling this and getting the 100-400. But anyway, so my winner is the 24-120. Super sharp from 24 all the way to 120. If I hadn't purchased this one, I mean, there's probably a few photos I probably wouldn't have been able to take over the years where I just wanted extra length. But I think in terms of overall quality and value, considering they were both around a £900 mark to buy, I would have just gone for this. I'm going to use this all the time. That extra length that you'll get from the 24 to say 70, just go for the f4 24-120. You know, that extra 50mm I think makes all the difference, and it's super clear. It's a little bit heavier, but I don't think you'll regret this. So if I can, I would essentially, I've got that. maybe not got that for my needs. Got this one paired with the 100 to 400. I'm then covering 24mm to 400mm. That's the enough for me. Hike around with that, less weight, and I know that my picture is going to be perfect. Hope you enjoyed. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to this video. It just really helps the channel, and I can do more content and more videos and more reviews later on. Bye bye.